Hello everyone, welcome back with me. I'm Nur Afifa. I'm from Economic Education Program 19 in Faculty of Economic Padang State University. So, we will discuss about graphically and mathematically analyze the decline in the LM curve, its slope and shape, the highest LM curve. So, the first material we will discuss about connecting the Keynesian curves and the highest curve. Okay, we check it out. Okay, the next material is connecting the Keynesian curves to the highest curve. Next, here we have the expenditure and we have the income. And we know from many videos now that an economy is equilibrium when the income is equal. So when the aggregate real income is equal the aggregate real expenditure too. So the circular flow GDP. Here we make a line where y is equal to expenditure along this 45 degrees line right over here. So this our expenditure. So this our expenditure is along this 45 degrees line right over here, and this point right over here at the same value. Next, the question is what the equilibrium for what planned expenditure line for the planned expenditure line. So we can't write it as expenditure plan like that. Y is aggregate consumption equal for C consumption, and the function of the disposable income like Y minus T. So Y minus T is disposable income, and the Y minus T is aggregate income minus aggregate tax. So here we know the consumption and aggregate minus aggregate income minus aggregate tax is CO plus CI bracket Y minus T. So the CO plus CI, CO is autonomous consumption plus CI are our marginal propensity to consume. So the CO plus CI aggregate income minus aggregate tax is multiplication. Next, here the planned expenditure like this is here IP and R. IP is interest rate plus G are government expenditure plus NX are next export. So here so it means we have done this Keynesian cross analysis. This is our equilibrium level of GDP. This is where along our planned expenditure line where income is equal. This is where income is equal to expenditure or output is equal to expenditure. So the next question is what will happen if interest rates go from R1 to R2. Here you can see from the first here. From the real GDP, what happen if interest rates go from R1 to R2. Here R2 is less from R1. So we're going to assume that R1 is less than R1. We assume that R2 is less than R1. So delta right one here, delta right over here, it went up because interest rate went down. So because the interest rate went down. Here we can see the relationship. The relationship between R is interest rate is up and the investment is down, and equilibrium is real GDP. This is real GDP, the relationship between interest rate, investment, and income. And the next material is government spending and ISLM models. Let's think about what happened to an IS curve when the government spending goes up. To think about that, let's see the draw our Keynesian curves. On the vertical, we have the aggregate expenditure. In the horizontal over here, we have the aggregate income. These are already just two ways of talking about GDP. We are thinking we actually wanna love the point, one of the point where the economy and equilibrium where income is equal to expenditure, income equal to expenditure. That's all of the point where income. That's all of the point where income is equal to expenditure. Whereas economy is in some type of equilibrium or inequilibrium. Then now we think about planned expenditure. Planned expenditure, we have done things multiple times. It's equal to aggregate consumer spending, which is function of the economic minus tax, which a function economic minus tax, like Y minus T, the income minus tax. This is one way of talking about consumption function. This one way of talking about consumption function. And then we have planned investment. This planned investment, and we assuming that our real interest are RI, real interest rate are fixed right now. This is, we assume that our real interest rates are fixed right. So planned investment plus government. So the planned investment, this is plus government RG plus government spending, and we count overthrow next part out here, and next we count even throw net export out here. This is, and this curve our planned investment. Curve planned investment. This is all review of the Keynesian course videos. It might look something like this, and we get to our equilibrium level of GDP. We can also use this information given though we were sitting here at interest rates I. The interest rates I to start to add the let's plot one point our ice curve. Let's point on our ice curve. We trying to relate real interest rate to aggregate GDP. We know that the aggregate level of output or income is that point right over. We can't just drop that down. This is interest rate RI, and we call just drop that down. So when the real interest rate are Ri, R1, this is our output, that is a point on our S-curve. When the real interest rate are R1, this is our output, that is a point our I-curve. This is I-curve. And next, let's think when the government spending goes up. When the government spending goes up, that will shift our planned expenditure up as well. So you change the government spending change in G. So your change in government spending change in G, and you will get to a new level of income or equilibrium level of real GDP, and the amount if delta Y, and the amount if delta Y, which is this amount right over here is actually equal to multiply the multiply 1 minus MPC or marginal propensity to consume times our change in government spending. So this is times our change in government spending. Thank you. Okay, that's all for me. I am Nur Afifa and see you next. Thank you.